Welcome to 21 Questions, the vlog that poses 21 questions to real estate professionals from all over the spectrum. I am Alex Brosey, property manager with Windermere JMW Group. Today I have with me a wholesaler, actually a good friend of mine, Chris Seubert. He's got himself a nice finance degree and he uses that to help owners purchase properties at discounted rates off the market. Chris has been flipping his own properties for about 2 years and has been privy to over 100 wholesale transactions. So I'm really excited to have him here, ask him these 21 questions and get some information out to all of you owners who just looking for that next great buy. Welcome to 21 Questions. I'll start off by asking you, who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it? And how long have you been in this industry?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Alex. So first off, excited to be here, excited to talk to you. So I was actually born and raised about 30 minutes south of Seattle, Maple Valley, Washington. I went to school over at Gonzaga University, came back, worked for the Mariners for a year, and then just right after that, started real estate investing full time. So I've been doing this for about 3.5 years now. Live in South Lake Union area, so very local to the area where I invest in. I work with my clients, and like I said, just been doing it for about 3.5 years now, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
Nice. And so you said you've been here about 3 years or so. In that time, and even still, do you have a team that you work with? Is there a group of you? Are you kind of a one-man show? How do you get out there and find these properties and find these buyers and make these wholesale deals happen?
Yeah. So going back about 2.5 years, it was myself and two others. So we were a team where we would wholesale a whole bunch of different properties. So just in the last 2 years alone, we wholesaled just over 100 different properties. So majority of that was in King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. And then we really started focusing on Thurston as well. So once we got that established, I realized, okay, I can do this on my own. And so I actually just went off on my own about 5-6 months ago. So I'm working by myself now, still wholesaling, still trying to find off-market deals, trying to find deals on the MLS. It is a little bit tougher, but I'm actually working by myself. But there's also a couple different partners that I work with throughout the business. So very well connected, so be able to try to find the deals.
Okay, so kind of wholesaling in the invested-minded realtor, that's kind of your specialty, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay, and what kind of benefit does that bring your client? What does that do for somebody who's looking for a deal in the greater Seattle area?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is always deal flow, right? Deal flow is hands down the biggest thing. You're looking at it from a residential side of things, just taking a look at the normal MLS, the amount of inventory that's available right now is some of the most scarce we've ever seen, actually. So to give you an actual number standpoint, the months of inventory available on the MLS is about 1.5 months. So out of all the homes that are sold, it would take about 1.5 months. The average months of inventory available should be about 4 to 4.5. So there's very little inventory and there's still a huge demand for homes. So deals are more tough to come by on the MLS side of things. So where do we go looking? We go looking on the off-market side of things. So how do we do that? We do that through door knocking. Not a lot of door knocking going on right now just because of whole COVID and the germs, right?
Yeah, I'm doing door hangers.
Exactly, door hangers, whatever it may be. Direct mail in the letter or direct letters in the mail is a big thing. But I mean, that's how I really got started off. Like, for example, the very first deal I tied up, it was actually for my boss at the time. It was in Fremont. I knocked on the door, got the deal under contract. It was a single-family home. We converted it to a triplex. Now, had I known what I know now, I would have taken that down myself. But I wasn't very aware of that. Just actually 5-6 months ago, I was able to get a deal on the MLS. Looking at it, it was marketed wrong. We got it in West Seattle, picked it up for a good deal. Actually ended up selling it to my brother, where he then rehabbed it and is actually now living in it full time, and we created a good amount of equity for it.
Wow.
So just two small examples of what I've done in terms of looking at deals from a different standpoint rather than traditional MLS, like a lot of other agents or anybody else would be doing.
Yeah, which, obviously is a huge benefit for your client to be able to have that mindset to say, well, this is what's right in front of you. But here's how we can maybe look at it, this second take, third take, changing your lens to be able to say, well, this is actually a much greater deal than what other people might think. So thankfully, you've got the ability to do that. It's probably an obvious question after that conversation, but what is it for you that you believe makes your clients' experience with you successful? And what does success look like for you as a wholesaler?
Yeah. So for me, when you're wholesaling, you have the person who's actually reaching out to the seller, right? And then you also have the buyer. So you look at it, there's three different people that are within the deal. And as long as you make sure it's a win-win-win with all three, that's what's going to be ideal, right? So if we're dealing with the off-market side of things, not all, but most of them are going to be in somewhat of a distressed situation, right? They need cash fast, or they don't really, like how their property's marketed. Maybe they have a lot of trash in there. If we're able to provide them with a strong offer where it makes sense for them, and I'm able to get it tied up at a good price and it makes sense for me, then I'm able to unload it off to the buyer where it makes sense for them, and we all walk away, better than when we were before. That's what I consider, a win-win-win. So
Yeah.
that's what I consider the success side of things for it. And then for my clients, what is their experience? As long as I can make it as simple as possible, right? So like I'm already doing the due diligence, right? There can be a lot of people that can just send you a deal and they just give you the address, right? For me, I'll be digging into it. I'll be saying, okay, here's the address. Here's what I think fix up is going to be, right? I flipped a handful of homes, so I kind of know exactly, okay, X is going to cost this amount, Y is going to cost this amount, and then I'm going to say, okay, taking a look at these comps, here's what I think the ARV is going to be. So really try to make it as simple as possible, because the off-market side of thing can be a little bit scary, but as long as I can mitigate as much of those risks as possible by providing as much information as possible. I'm a big information guy. So if I can provide as much valuable information in a quantitative way to the investors, then that'll be success.
You said a word in there that I think comes up for a lot of people when they first start hearing about wholesaling deals, and that's scary. Especially, like you said, a lot of the times these are distressed owners. They could even be distressed properties. And for somebody, especially if you've never done a wholesale transaction before, or you're a brand new investor and you're looking for a good deal, that can be super scary. So I'm curious, and this is kind of a loaded question, but what do you think the number one issue is with other wholesalers in the wholesale process, and how do you mitigate kind of that issue?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say the number one is definitely just the lack of information. I think too many wholesalers, they go straight for the throat, right? Where they just say, hey, give me the price, okay? And then once they get the price, they take it and they run with it.
Yep.
In reality, there's so much more than the price, right? Is a tenant living in there? Are they living in there? When do they want to close? What's going to happen when they close? So being able to disclose as much information is going to be hands down the biggest thing, right? Transparency is huge. And so there's now the off-market side of thing, it's not going to be as transparent as the actual, if you're looking for buying and selling on the MLS. But if I can provide as much information as possible, take, for example, something as simple as closing costs, right? There's so many people right before you get to the closing table that say, hey, you have to pay for buyer's title and escrow, or you have to pay for the excise tax, right? That can be an extra 2%, on a $600,000 deal. That's an extra $12,000 that you had no idea up until the final end.
Yep.
So by being able to provide as much information as possible up front, knowing whatever the hidden fees, costs, whatever it may be, is really going to be the biggest thing.
Yep. And so obviously for you, standing apart from your competition is that extra work, that extra due diligence, that transparency, the efficiency, basically being a real partner to somebody who chooses to work with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so now obviously there is a lot of stuff happening in Seattle right now. We have a pandemic, we have protests, we've got inequality and equal rights, and all of these things are coming up, including this, now Capitol Hill, the chop, right?
As or the chop, wherever you want to do it, yeah.
Right. So this question, I know it'll be tough to answer because everything is really uncertain right now.
Yeah.
And it's a big question. So, how do you adapt to changes in the real estate market, like what we're seeing right now in Seattle, where first it started with we have low inventory, and that hasn't really been a surprise to anybody.
Mhm.
But now on top of that, there's a pandemic. So sellers don't want to sell because they don't want people in their house.
Mhm.
Buyers can't buy because maybe they don't have a job now. So things are even more in flux than they normally would be in our crazy market here.
Right.
Because of all that, on top of how do you adapt to those, what changes do you see coming because of it? What do you think that's going to do to your clients? And how do you plan to stay, valuable to somebody who might want to be buying deals right now?
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely a lot that's going on, especially around the Seattle area. So, I mean, the biggest thing for me is just reading, and then also talking to all these local investors around the area, right? So I've been in the industry for 3.5 years, and a lot of it has been on the investment minded side of things. So I know, investors that have, a couple hundred doors in the Seattle area, or just fixing flippers over there. And so you can read, but really it's what's the phrase, trust but verify, right, is really the biggest thing. So being able to, okay, if I'm reading that, there's going to be a stoppage in, or like they're holding off on the, evictions, right? So you can't evict for X amount of months. And then now you can't evict during the cold months during Seattle, right? So talking to a local property manager like yourself, right, saying, how do we combat those issues is really the biggest thing. So my biggest thing in terms of how I'm adapting changes in the real estate market is talking to people that are actually doing it right now. That's really the biggest thing. And then relaying that information to my clients, to even some sellers that I'm working with, whatever it may be, is definitely the biggest thing. Now, what changes do I see coming because of, the pandemic or because of whatever else is going on? I think one thing is the transition from larger cities to more so the suburbs, but I'll call it the a suburban environment. Okay, so a suburban environment is a mix between a suburban and an urban environment, right? Think your hometown, think Everett,
Yep.
right? Downtown is changing big time, but it's still a nice, residential area that you can have, but you can also get that for shops and restaurants. I think my hometown, like Maple Valley, where, there's some bars that are coming down there. There's all these new higher scale restaurants that are coming down there. So I think people, because of this pandemic, they're going to want a little bit more space, right? They're going to want a little bit more, maybe a yard, maybe further away from people. So I can see them, moving either up north or down south, also because of the pricing. So I really think that is going to be a big thing, the suburban environment. All right. I don't know if I can coin that term, whatever it may be. But the urban and suburban is going to mesh and be a suburban area. And then the final thing that I see, at least in the whole grand scheme of things to real estate, is technology side. So technology in terms of all the other companies in this world, right? Just Google, Apple, Amazon, whatever it may be. Real estate has really lagged behind it. It's been a little bit archaic in my opinion. So being able to utilize all these different tools that you can have, I'm sure you guys have plenty of resources with Windermere that you guys utilize that make it easier, right? Rather than picking up the check, making sure everything is done online, right? So you don't actually have to go inside. Even something as simple as, signing with title and escrow, right? Do you really have to have a mobile notary, or can everything be done online, right? There's a lot of companies, there's a lot of VC-backed companies that are trying to change how title is being made, right? Or titles being done. So those are really the two big things. One is the suburban area, and then two is really the changes in technology is going to be a big thing these next couple of years, in my opinion.
And so for the clients that you have that, they're looking for that great deal, is that a good or a bad thing? It seems like it go either way. If we have clients who want to buy and they're looking at properties in Everett, they might be able to cash out on a great deal, especially with, some serious potential appreciation. On the other hand, if you're somebody who, for whatever reason, your heart is set on Seattle, you could find yourself in a really sticky place if you just bought and now all of a sudden your house is dropping in value.
Yeah, no, it is true. And it really, that's where you really want to own it exactly what you're looking for, right? So like, take for example, if you're gonna get something on like Uber Eats, right? And they say, what do you want? You just say, I want just food, right? Like they don't know what you're gonna want. You have to say, I want, Pan Express. I want, orange chicken with beef and broccoli, and then it's gonna get delivered, right?
Yep.
It sounds a little bit corny, but take that exact scenario and put it with your investing side of things. If you want cash flow, Seattle area is probably not going to be the place to go. Now, if you go up north to Everett or down south to, Renton, Auburn, whatever it may be, those are areas where you're going to be able to cash flow. So be looking in those areas. If you're looking for a huge appreciation, I'm still very bullish on the Seattle market. Now, keep in mind, knowing that you're not going to be cash flowing, you're going to be paying, a couple $100, maybe $1,000, whatever it may be, but knowing you're still strong near a technology hub is going to be a big thing. So do you really want appreciation? Do you want cash flow? Do you want a blend of both? That's really going to be the biggest thing to ask yourself for what you want to do, right? Because I work with a whole bunch of different, buyers. And when somebody says, I'm looking for deals, what's a deal to you, right? Does it need X amount of money? Does it need to make a percentage return on your money? Are you looking at cash flow? Are you just looking to stick some money into it? Are you looking for a primary that you want to fix up? It's so broad. And so being able to sift it and know exactly what you want to order on Uber Eats, what exactly do you want to order for your real estate investment needs? Like that's really the biggest thing for me. Dial it down, get it in this box, and then let me know, and then we'll go to work.
So obviously your value add, which it seems like it has been and will continue to be, all of those things, that efficiency, that transparency, being able to break it up for your client to say, I get that, making $250 a door is important to you, but really let's dissect that. Where do you want to be, in 5 years, 10 years, if this property is something that you're going to hold on to and rent out, being able to take all that sum and break it up into its parts, I think that's an incredible value add for sure.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, a lot of people, they think, okay, real estate is just simply buying and selling a house, right? And they're buying top of the market, but it's tough because they have it ingrained in their minds, right? But really trying to provide a different alternative for the buyers or the sellers is going to be the biggest thing. And yes, like you said, going back to a couple minutes ago in our conversation, it's a little bit scary, the off-market side of things, but being able to alleviate and answer as many questions as possible is going to be ideal. And I know, that's how you pretty much started your background on the lending side of things with these distressed deals. So, about it just as good as I do for us to help out our buyers.
Yep. And so this question is going to be a weird one because wholesale deals, as I know, the cost, it varies. It's nowhere near similar to a traditional agent who, you're paying them 3%, right? I mean, everyone knows this now. We see some 2.5s, Redfin's doing 1.5, but ultimately there's a fixed number. How do you price a wholesale deal? What do you cost? If someone wants to buy a house, a duplex to rent out from you, what is that going to cost them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wish I could give you I'm a big, black and white guy, no gray areas, but it's like, it's cost this, it's going to cost that. But in reality, it's really dependent on the deal, right? So give you an example. If I come across a single family home in Woodinville, I know someone who's looking for an end user there, right? An end user, they want to actually have that be their primary home. So I know, okay, if I can get it to them at $60,000 below market value, and I get it at X amount, and there's a $20,000 difference that I can still make that much money on and send it to somebody else, then it works out for them, then great. Now, if somebody's looking for a deal that's going to be cash flowing, make sure that I can present the deal to them at a price where once they fix it up, if they refinance, whatever it may be, it's going to end up cash flowing is really the biggest thing. So I wish I could say the exact number of what my service would be. It's all deal dependent. Sometimes it could be nothing much. And if we end up talking shop and real estate, because I'm a real estate nerd, then great, that's fantastic. But there can be other times where, if I'm out there and I'm pounding the pavement and I'm hustling and I'm able to get a good deal, then and as long as it works for you and it works for me and it works for the seller, then great.
That win-win-win.
A win-win-win.
Yep. And now, for clarification, it doesn't cost anything to work with you. If I'm a buyer and I say, hey, you know what, I'm looking for a duplex. I want a duplex in Tacoma with a light fix-up. You looking out for properties like that, you coming across a property like that, whatever, that doesn't cost me anything. I can have your phone number for free.
Hey, I'll give you my phone number at the end. I'll give you my Snapchat. I'll give you whatever it may be. And as long as I find you something, then that's when, you know, I'll get something. You
Cool.
know, as long as I provide some type of value, provide a deal. But no, I'm not an A-list celebrity where, you know, I'm not on Cameo where I'm, you know, sending $20 birthday shouts out. I'm simply a normal guy who just is looking for deals for myself and other people.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So Chris, I want to give you some time here to kind of broadcast yourself a little bit. So first and foremost, why should somebody work with you, you or your company?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I just touched on a little bit ago is the real estate industry is so interesting to me. I like all the different avenues that you can go down. For me, my plan the next 5-10 years, I would love to start doing real estate syndication on larger multifamily properties. So I've flipped a good amount of homes so far. I've been wholesaling. Actually just recently got my license, my traditional license. So I'll be able to help out buyers and sellers on that end of it. But I mean, the biggest thing is I just love talking about real estate. Love learning about what deals are doing, right? It's not, the good thing is there's an infinite number of homes, of rentals, of whatever it may be, that there's enough pieces of pie for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm taking some, that means you're getting less. So being able to talk to anybody about what their plans are, what their goals are, whatever it may be, and if I can help out any way possible, would be ideal. So, I mean, there's really no hard push in terms of, hey, work with me because the A, B, and C. I would love to just talk with you and figure out your goals. And if I can help out any way possible, then, you know, I'm all for it.
Perfect. I know you have a blog, so talk a little bit about your blog or any group that you're a part of that people can listen to, read, join, and then how do people get in touch with you if they want to be real estate nerds with you?
Yeah, so I just started the blog about a month and a half ago, actually. Something I've been wanting to do for the longest time. Launched it. It's 24-doors.com. So 24-doors.com. I posted a couple different blogs. Something in one of them is on hard money. One of them's about what I saw in the real estate market. Another one's about a book I read. Part of that blog, I also have a weekly newsletter. So I'll send out all different articles of what I've been seeing. I'll provide my thoughts on, you know, what I'm seeing also in the market. So I've been really, I've gotten some good feedback of that. Love for everybody to subscribe to it. It's been a lot of fun meeting other people, bouncing ideas back and forth off of it. And then the best way to get a hold of me is, you know, we talked about it, my cell phone, 206-802-4215. I got no shame in sending that out. Call or text is going to be the best way. I'm not very social on the social media, but I'm going to try to start getting that back up. But you can find me on Facebook for now. But the best way is going to be either checking out my blog, 24doors.com, or on my phone.
Perfect, Chris. My friend, it was great to see you. I appreciate you coming on 21 Questions.
I appreciate it, Brosi. Until next time, man.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right.